want to talk about, I guess, meat handling, defrosting, safety, food health and safety kind of thing. Obviously, it's probably one of the main things with raw feeding that, you know, it's like, oh, raw feeding, there's bacteria and humans can get sick and kids can get sick and dogs can get sick and blah, 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 blah. Of course, it's possible, and with anything there is risk, of course. But if you follow just a few kind of, I think, what are common sense rules and practices, it's extremely unlikely to have any issues. It's kind of all about temperature control with food. Like, you know, some people say to me, oh, well, what do I do with this 2 kilo bag? Like, I can't defrost it and refreeze it. You can, perfectly safe to do so, with a few rules. And these are best practice rules. There is wiggle room with these. Like dogs' tummies are a lot stronger than ours. Their tummies can sort out things that ours can't. And you know, I'm not saying, oh, just feed them rotten meat, they'll be fine. But I've certainly given Lulu some, you know, questionable meats at times just to use it up. And yeah, no issues. So, you know, you do you, but these are the best practice rules for the safe handling of raw meat. And you can kind of choose your risk level. But if you defrost a meat if you really want to talk about temperatures and you actually want to monitor the temperature with a thermometer, you can. But basically you want to keep everything below 5 degrees. So say you defrosted some meat overnight in the fridge and it's still nice and cold, even like semi-frozen a little bit. You can then work with that meat, and that means mixing other things in, or whatever you want to do. Like some people DIY their meals and they'll defrost their mince or their meat and their offal and their veg and their whatever, and they'll mix it all up and then reportion. So the rules are, don't let it come back to room temperature. That is too warm. Refreeze it straight away. So you want to work with it while it's still cold. It should feel cold. And if you really want to be, you know, if you really want to check the temperature and bring it to, you know, 1, 2, 3 degrees and work with it at that stage, and refreeze straight away. The quicker that you get that back to frozen from its less frozen state, the better. So yeah, I guess it's all about temperature control and contamination. Like obviously, you know, wear gloves, don't get meat and offal and stuff everywhere. Always try and keep a tidy space. I try to, like, if I make a little bit of mess, bit of splatter, clean it up at the time. Yeah, so keep your surfaces all wiped and clean. Work with your meat while it's nice and cold. Get it back in the freezer as soon as you can, and that is perfectly safe. You will have no issues there. And you can do that without 2 kilo bags. You can defrost them just enough to get a knife through them or whatever. Reportion, refreeze, bang them back in the freezer, and then defrost as needed. There's no preservatives in anything we use, so that's the reason everything is frozen, because it doesn't have a long shelf life, because preservatives are bad. So I defrost a meal as I use a meal. So I feed Lulu a meal in the evening and I defrost another one. And once you get into the habit of doing that, you've always got a meal ready, and you're not sort of defrosting a week's worth of food and having it sit there going yuck. You want to use it within 2 to 3 days for max, absolute max, but ideally 1 or 2 is better. So you could even have one meal in the fridge ready to go, one meal being